Hey guys. What's up, y'all? Welcome. We'll be starting this in a few minutes here. We'll get rolling. And yeah, cool. It's cool to see everybody rolling in. So welcome, guys. Happy Tuesday, end of November, which is a interesting time. So David and I will talk a little bit about what's unique about right now, especially the 28th. And yeah, getting into some more of this stuff. Give us a few seconds, we'll get rolling. Mr. Bonnie, what up?
Doing, everybody? We already got people in the chat. This is
I
great.
know. Look at that.
Yes, yes. All right. This is one of the funner sessions, I would say.
Funner. Is that the word?
More fun.
More fun? I'm fine with funner.
Yeah.
Funner ones. I like it. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah, we still got people rolling in. This is awesome. And I guess the coolest part of this is that we're rolling in and it's not 3 o'clock yet. So hats off to David showing up at 2:59 Eastern.
It's actually, just little bits of improvement, guys. That's all we ask, not
It's that one
you.
percent.
That's
It's that 1% that makes a difference. Absolutely.
right. That's right.
You guys have me live from a Marriott hotel in Cincinnati. So welcome. In retrospect, I take no accountability for background noise. Is what I'm really trying to say.
There we go.
Take, can't take accountability for the individual upset because his room was not booked correctly. So we'll deal with that later. All
All
right,
right.
cool. We're 3:01. Let's give one more minutes and then we'll get rolling, guys. As you can see, everyone can see my screen, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So you emailed the proposal. Like we're going to be talking about this today. And we've said this in many of the other no reps, right? Is like once you email the proposal, or once you give them, not even email the proposal, once you hand that proposal over to them, 100% of your power is gone, right? You guys no longer have the ability to ask questions. You have no longer have any ability to be able to, pain hack, anything like that, because once they have your proposal, they can go silent. They don't have to answer the phone. They don't have to come to the front desk. They have everything that they need from you guys. So we've
Right.
talked a lot about the 4D process, which we're going to go through again today. This is the ground, this is the bones, right? This is the framework of what you guys need to be able to make sure that you are the most successful that you could possibly be. Because once we get to the point of giving the proposal to the client, don't ever expect to talk to them again.
Yep.
That's the key takeaway I have for you guys. Don't ever expect to talk to them again. Because chances are they're going to have all the information that they need from you, the contractor, to be able to make a decision. And that's why the 4D process is here for us, right? We go into discovery mode, open mind, what's going on? Then we're going to take that next stage, right? We're going to go to diagnosis and then finally demonstration. Why are we the best? All of that needs to be done because if you are playing the game on the objection side, which means, well, I'm going to deliver the proposal and see what they say. What's probably going to happen is you guys are not going to hear anything. And your client's going to make a decision based upon their best interest or what they feel is best for them. And the only thing I can say is that sucks for you because you guys are never going to get closure on what actually happened with the job, less of you driving by and seeing another roofer doing it. And it sucks for the client because if we don't do all of our work up front to be able to position ourselves as the best and only option, it means the client's also going to get subpar. They're going to have to make a decision, right? A decision that they're uneducated on because that's why they call it a commercial roofer in the first place because they don't have the ability to solve it on their own. And both sides are going to lose. So I put the subject inside here very specifically. You emailed the proposal. Once you email it, it's out of sight, out of mind. You have an amazing opportunity because you guys have a solution for the exact problem that your customer has. And if you guys are just emailing those proposals over, assuming that they're receiving the proposal, assuming that they're going to be able to read the roof deficiencies and connect that directly into the problem they have in the business. Everybody know what the saying, right? Never assume. Makes an ass out of you and me. Don't go down that, right? Hope's not a strategy. Don't assume. We have to be able to do our due diligence. We have to fight for the higher good, all right? For the greatest good for the customer. And that is not emailing the proposal. So we're going to dive into that today and really unpack what that looks like. And yeah. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Right, Dave?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right. Welcome. No reps left behind, guys. We are in week, I want to say 8. I think this is number 7 that we're rolling through, but I think it's 8 because we included 5 fatalities, all that kind of different fun stuff. So if you guys haven't met me, my name's Chad Westbrook. I've spent basically my entire career within the commercial roofing sector. A little bit behind that was construction, CAD layout, but you guys are looking at what is ultimately 20 years of, I say this humbly, failures, right? To where we actually created a process that works. And we've really kind of dove in and figured out what is it that the customer wants, right? Because it's not roofing. We know that. No one wakes up into the morning and wants to buy roofing. And this is what you guys are getting. You're getting my secrets. You're getting my background. I've led some of the largest service initiatives throughout the United States that continue to be able to roll for those customers or contractors, I should say, that I helped getting that in. I'm well on my way to over $1 billion within the commercial sales sector. And I say this each one, but it's what I take pride in, guys. It's not $1, $2, $3 million jobs. It's $1, $2, $3,000 jobs. Service is the incubator to more private negotiated re-roofs. So if you guys want to be able to build a book of business based upon relationships, you guys want to be able to start with service, right? Show them what it's like to work with your company, because every roof replacement that they buy is a 20-year commitment to service. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's what my background is. And that's why I'm here, guys.
Hey guys, I'm David Bonney. I come from basically the venture-backed software world, the venture capital-backed software world. And it's basically a world where these big venture firms like Goldman Sachs, Bain Capital, they give tens of millions of dollars to your company, and then they put insane pressure on that company to be able to grow. And the amount of growth that you have is unreasonable. And you've got to be able to figure out, you have to figure out strategies that have never been executed before, basically to do things that have never been done before. And that's where a lot of this comes from. 6 years ago, I left that world, and one of the verticals that I got focused in on was commercial roofing, based on some very dear friends of mine. Chad and I eventually met. The work that I've been doing in this space for a long period of time, and Chad's methodology, it all aligned very, very well. We saw things the same way, and essentially you're getting now content that comes from all of these worlds, but that's really been honed and brought into the commercial roofing space. But that's why it's so much different than what the vast majority of commercial roofing companies are doing, because it is proven, it works, and it's got this flavor of things that have been done or that have never been done outside of it. But it is all proven, guys. Chad and I are actively working with teams. Some of you are here on this call, but we're actively working with teams every single day, implementing this stuff, executing, getting results. This is not just theory. It's not just speak. This is real world stuff. So hopefully you take a lot of notes and get a lot from it, because it freaking works.
There you go. So you are ultimately the same, I was going to say, probably as everybody I've ever met in the roofing industry. Nobody chooses roofing. Roofing chooses you.
That's right.
So much like that, you're right in the boat with us. But yeah, everything David said, absolutely correct. Love working with you, man. So excited to be here and kind of jump through this.
Heck yeah.
You want to take us through this?
Yeah. All right. So essentially, guys, when we look at it, there is, and you guys feel this, right, from a certain percentage of your prospects, but the stats are out there. Almost 70% of prospects don't want to interact with us at all. And when we look at that, when we look at what we're trying to help them facilitate in the process, and what we're trying to help them achieve, and what they're trying to achieve, it really isn't any different. But so why don't they want to talk to us? Right? Why do they not want us? Why aren't we seen as a valuable resource to them, as a trusted advisor? Why is that actually happening? Go ahead and go to the next slide. We call it the buyer-seller misalignment. Essentially, what happens is the vast majority of salespeople, because just like Chad said, right, most people don't start off in roofing. It's also said for sales. Nobody goes to school to get a master's or bachelor's in sales. I don't think they exist still to this day, right? You can go and get a degree in marketing. You can get a degree in finance. You can get a degree in a lot of things. You can't get it in sales. So most of us just end up in sales. And ultimately what ends up happening is, because we end up in sales, because there's a huge gaping hole of effective strategies in the vast majority of companies out there in all industries, let alone roofing, we end up getting into sales and we just try to sell our stuff. That's all we want to do. Guess what? Prospects don't want our stuff. They want to solve their problems. So as we're pitching them their stuff and they're trying to solve their problems, there's this wall of disconnect. We are not helpful to them in the process of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And that's why 7 out of 10 would rather bypass us in the process if they could. And that's why you feel that kind of resistance from a lot of the prospects in the process. They think you're going to be just like everybody else, who is just going to try to sling a quote out to them, try to get a date, and badger them until they make a decision. We are teaching you guys to be different in a way that helps them achieve their goals, which puts you on the same side of the table with them and will improve your chances of winning their business and creating long-term relationships with these people, so you can continue to push the limits of what your book of business, not only how big your book of business can be, but the amount of money that book, or the share of wallet that you're able to get from that book of business.
Early in my career, I don't remember who or what it was, but there was a question that still sticks with me today. And it's like, who is your biggest competition? And naturally, right, I was young and I was like, oh, it's this contractor, it's this contractor, it's this contractor. And what they kind of unpacked was something that stuck with me. And they said, the biggest competition, the biggest competitor that you have is the worst experience that your customer has had. And
Yeah.
what they're doing, the coolest, I guess the part that like still sticks with me with that is that if you think about it, right, the people who have been screwed over by roofers are the ones that literally put the shield up when you walk in, right?
Yep.
They're the ones that inside there's like used car lot, right? Someone walks out, is like, hey, can I help you? They might be being sincere. I've had some of the best people I've worked with buying. I had one of the best experiences I've ever had buying a car, right? But like naturally, it doesn't matter. That same guy can walk out tomorrow in the lot and I can be like, nah, dude, just looking. Even if I got cash in my pocket. Now, transfer that into roofing. It's no different, right? You're a roofer. You're going to get, if they tell you the budget, you're just going to use the entire budget, right? You're going to screw them over. You're going to basically go do something they can't see and send them a bill. And that just hits home for me so real, right? That when we show up and then we send a proposal, so the buyer seller misalignment, let me just put that in a real easy term, right? The customer wants the leaks fixed in his building. He wants the water cleaned up on the floor. He doesn't want it to be there anymore, because every time it rains, right, water ends up on the floor. And he knows, he looks up and guess what? I have a roof. So the simple way to be able to put this is, you guys are trying to sell him open seams, right? The typical contractor is trying to sell him the deficiency on the roof, which is open seams, right? That's what you want to sell to him. But he wants to solve the problem that's water on the floor. Now, he can work hard. He can use all of these calories trying to say, well, okay, yeah, no, this contractor said it's open seams. This contractor said it's this. And all of a sudden now, he's buying something that he doesn't want. He wants the water on the floor fixed, right? That's what he's going to spend money for. That's the reality or the atmosphere that he wants to change. However, he's forced to be able to make a decision on a deficiency that he's never seen. He's never went on that roof, and he never plans to go on that roof. So put yourself inside your customer's shoes, right? When we talk about this buyer seller misalignment, right? They just want to solve the water on the floor. They just want to fix the ceiling tile that's getting ready to collapse and fall on someone's desk. They just want to be able to make sure that they don't lose any more product, right? If it gets wet or it floods like it just did in the last rain. And us as contractors are over here trying to sell roof repairs and fastener replacement and sealers and and reflashing and scuppers or whatever it is. And it's basically gibberish to them. We don't do a good job connecting that piece. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So what I'm going to go is I'm going to go through 3 reasons on why your proposals suck. And I'm saying this to you guys because if you can relate to this, you guys can change this. You are in 100% control of this. And the first one's pretty simple, right? It is your prospects are confused for that buyer-seller disconnect, what we just talked about, right? You guys are not doing enough discovery to be able to run through this, right? Poor discovery creates prospect confusion. We're not doing good discovery. We're not asking the questions that we actually need to ask. Because if we go through buyer's intent, which we have a couple different times, but your buyer intends to find a solution to solve the actual problems that are causing him enough pain, keeping him from the important outcomes. And that's really important to be able to follow because when they call you as a roofer, they intend to find a solution to solve their actual problems that's causing enough pain or disruption in their world that's keeping them from the important outcomes. And those important outcomes could be different things that they're trying to get done. It could be anything. But the whole point behind this, guys, this is their world, right? And as a trusted advisor, we need to be ready to help them find that solution. And rather than trying to sell them a product, right, that doesn't help them solve the actual problems that they see, ceiling tiles, safety, product, whatever it is, right, that's causing them that pain, a disruption, right, that discomfort. If we try to sell them something that they don't need, which is a roof repair, it creates confusion. So when we do poor discovery, it doesn't help them find a solution, right? And when we help them find solutions that's keeping them from the important outcomes, that's when they come back to you. That's when you know, much like David just said, you're sitting on the same side of the table as them. You guys are helping them solve problems, not trying to slam proposals down their throats. You're not following up and saying, hey, have you had a chance to take a look at that proposal? When are you going to send it back to me? No one's going to pick the phone up and do something for you. No one's going to buy something from you because they want you to hit your numbers. They want you to hit your November numbers. So they're going to buy something from you. That's where the 4D process comes in. That's how you guys get repeat business. You guys want to be able to grow your customers. You have to stop selling them stuff they don't need. And you have to start helping them solve problems that is keeping them from the important outcomes. Anything you want to add to this, David?
Nope. Well, yeah. So it remember, guys, just about calorie burn. If you force them to burn a ton of calories to try to figure out how you're going to help them, they're not going to do it. So you just, in your proposal, you can't connect those dots for them if you never went through good discovery to figure out if they need to solve this. It's the 3 checkpoints. If they need to solve this at all, if it's big enough priority, if they actually need outside help, and then what is the actual problem so they can figure out who is the right service provider for them. When you don't figure that out, they are totally confused when you're giving them solution, when you're pitching your proposal. They're completely confused, guys, and it's your fault because you didn't go through and help them get clear on those other areas.
I think a huge part to that as well is kind of like what we talked about, right? Your biggest competitor is the worst experience that they have. So if you come in there and start ultimately talking about your company, how long you guys been inside business, all those kind of different things, you're not helping them solve their problem. You're trying to sell your product. Yep. So it comes right back to the buyer-seller disconnect, right? And when you start asking questions about them and their world, and you use that 4D process, right? You use those questions to be able to create that trust. That's when you start sitting on the other side of the table and start helping them find solutions. So it's a big, big part to this, guys. It's not just saying it, it's just not sitting here, but it's actually understanding, do your proposals, or not even do, right? But what problems do your proposals solve for your customer? And that can unlock an insane amount of opportunity for you, even right now, right? We're sitting on the 28th right now. We got 2 days left in the month. That's the question I'm going to challenge you guys with. Your proposal solves some type of problem. What is that problem? And that's going to get you on the road, right? The map to being a trusted advisor. Everything throughout all of this is outlined in the buyer's action plan, right? So we've spent the last several weeks going through this, but I'm telling you, this is the framework, guys. This is proven. I have used this for years. We've continued to be able to tweak this and get it right where it needs to be. And notice that there's nothing in here about your company. It's about their reality because their perception of reality is what they're trying to change. It doesn't matter what your perception of reality is. How many buildings I've walked into, they say, nope, we don't have any leaks. We're absolutely fine. I say, hey, can I give you a free inspection? He goes, sure. I go up on the roof and it looks like a bomb went off. His perception of reality is not going to change. He has no leaks inside the building. He has no problems. He has no reason to be able to spend money. Right? So we have to understand our client's perception of reality is all that matters. Doesn't matter if the best roofer inside the world walked in and you're trying to tell them why you're the best and all this kind of different stuff, that there's not enough pain, right? Or they have the internal resources to be able to do it. Those are the first two check boxes. It doesn't matter how horrible the roof is. If there's no pain and no reason to be able to do it, or that you have the internal resources to do it, you're never going to get the job. And the only thing that's going to happen is that proposal is going to sit there in your book of business, right? Now I'm challenging you guys because this is the 28th. We got 2 days left to be able to make a big impact to our book of business. What problems do your proposals solve that are sitting in your book of business right now? That's a huge step that you guys can take. So buyer's action plan, right? If you guys don't have this or you want a copy of this, I have no problem. I know David's the same way. We'll send this to you guys. We're sharing this with you. You guys should have this. You guys should have this ultimately as a map to be able to ask the questions that are going to make the biggest difference. So go ahead. You can hit us up. I prefer not inside the chat. If you can send us an email, but if you want to throw inside chat, David's great at chat, but I'm not always there. So David, you want to take us through checkpoint one, sir?
Yeah. So just a quick recap, guys. We're just going to run through this so then we can get to the proposal stuff. But remember, guys, we go set the agenda in the meeting, and then bam, we want to know why they scheduled or attended the call or the meeting. That's first off. They don't want to talk to a roofer. So they're doing it because they're trying to solve a problem the vast majority of the time, or they're trying to achieve a goal. Okay. Once you figure that out, then you can get into decision makers and start to understand who are the decision makers, who cares about this. Once we understand who cares about it, and how they make decisions is a really good question to ask. Then we can get a landscape of who else we need to get involved in the process at a later date.
Can I throw a wrench in this, David?
What?
Can I throw a wrench in this?
Uh-huh.
I want to present it. Will you be my client?
Present what? What? Wait.
Yeah. See, I'm messing you all up. Let's present this, right? Because I feel we've went through this so many times. Let's roll with it. Will you be my client? Yeah.
Yeah. Present the recap in the workspace. Yeah. Let's do that. Yep.
I want to go through the questions. We're going through the check boxes. We talk about the questions that need to be there. I'm going to throw it into the mix.
Let's go.
All right. David, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I can tell you most people don't set this time out just because you like to talk to a roofer. Talk to me about what's going on. You guys have problems or goals, or what is it for you guys?
Yeah, we've got some leaks in the east building, and we've got leaks over here in the west building, and it's starting to stain ceiling tiles.
Ooh, no good. Are you the one that's in charge of kind of solving this?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I can assume you're looking for a roofing contractor, and then are you the one that's going to pick the contractor, award it, kind of the whole thing?
We've got to go through a big old process on ultimately how we do that, and we've got meetings, and we've got to get approvals, and just depending on how much it is and what the cost is. If it goes over a certain amount, then we've got to get more approvals.
Ooh, I'm hearing, all I hear is like board of directors. So you guys have some type of process or something like that?
Yep. Okay.
Have you guys tried to do anything yet as far as taking care of the leaks?
Yeah, and the in our east location, we've got maintenance people that have gone up there and have tried to duct tape it and whatever it is that they do. I don't know exactly what they do up there, but they've done their best to try to manage it. It still ends up leaking again. We haven't done anything on the west side of town here on the west building, so we need to be able to figure out now how to get this taken care of now that we've got the issue at both locations.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, I mean, why don't you guys just kind of take care of it yourself? Any reason you're reaching out to me to go through this?
Yeah, I mean, it just hasn't worked. You know, our maintenance guys they're good at some small stuff, but it just continues to be a problem, and we don't want this to turn into a much bigger issue.
Understood. So as far as the leaks, when it rains, I'm assuming it's leak inside the building. What kind of disruption does it do?
Well,
I mean, I know you said it's stained ceiling tiles, but is it just stained ceiling tiles, or like are you afraid of those falling, or like what does it mean?
yeah, so the west side location where it's been leaking hasn't been a huge problem. That's why we haven't done anything about it. But this location where the ceiling tiles are, yeah, we are worried about that collapsing down onto staff. It's right in the middle of the office, so we can't take those. We can't take that chance.
Okay, so high priority, something building you're in right now, you got to take care of, and then you have another one that needs some work.
Yep.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's this fall, I guess, in your priority level?
I mean, probably an 8, just because we don't want anybody getting hurt. You know.
Okay. Um, can I ask it what a 9 or a 10 would be?
A 9 or 10 would be if it continued to get worse, and something did fall.
Okay. Um, so if something fell, is it over people, or like I know we talked about the ceiling tiles, right? Is it over people, or where is it happening?
Yeah, it's over our administrative staff. It's in our main office area.
Okay. So yeah, so if you have ceiling tiles falling in there, obviously you can't have people working in there.
Right.
Okay. How do you guys typically go about budgeting for a project like this?
I mean, we don't really have a process. I just started over here a couple of months ago, so I don't know exactly the in and outs of everything. I think they've allowed this to go on for too long, but I'll now that we got to get this figured out, I'm sure I'm going to learn really quick what the budgeting process is. My guess is that we have a limit that we can go up to where there's approval that either I can give or my boss can give, and then if it goes beyond a certain amount, then we'll have to go and get board approval.
Okay. And that was my question. What's the value of bringing your boss in here? So I guess we can kind of solve this one time, solve it right. That way you can get your stuff done. Boss can get what he needs. What's the value of bringing him into the mix?
Probably not necessary. They brought me in so I can figure this stuff out and relieve her of having to focus on this stuff. So I'll be able to. She'll probably just go with my recommendation.
Okay. So ultimately, what's your guys' end goal? So I know stop the leaks, right? But what's the end goal? Is this kind of a patch thing? Are you guys looking to take more care of the roof, like in a proactive side? What's the longer term goal?
Yeah, I mean, I am more of a proactive person. They haven't been, obviously. So I think that'll be part of what I'll be looking to potentially recommend. So we don't have to uh we don't have to find ourselves in these issues where we feel like we got lucky, that it hasn't rained more since the last storm, since it's been so dry, so it hasn't gotten worse, and we haven't had any accidents or had to keep people from coming into the office. So the proactive side is what I'll want to venture into once we get the initial issue figured out.
Okay. Lucky is what I'm thinking, right? It hasn't rained, and we know it's been dry, but okay. So I'm going to go up there. We'll take a look at it. If we put a budget together, I know you said this is an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. Is this something you guys are looking to do? Obviously, somewhat quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And do you have any type of budget for roofing as a whole, like as a company?
Yeah, I think we've got something set aside. I don't know what's left for the year. But I think my guess is going to be we'll probably be able to go up to, I think 5 or 7 grand or something like that. If it's below that, I'll just be able to give approval for it. But I think beyond that, then we'll have to go through that budgeting process or that broader approval process I talked to you about.
Okay, absolutely. And I know you said you had guys that were doing the repairs, but it's basically been a lost cause in stopping the leaks up to this point, right? So you're looking for someone outside?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can't. We've been able to afford to do it in the other location because it's been in an area where nobody has to go, where there isn't regular traffic. So,
Okay.
but now that it's happening here in this location, we've got to get this figured out and figure it out right.
Okay, awesome. So what my actions will be is we'll hop up on the roof, we'll take a look at it. I'll get you a report that kind of shows you what roof deficiencies are causing the stained ceiling tiles in the building. And then what I'll probably do is put together a little bit of a larger proactive proposal that might help you stay ahead of it. That way we're not necessarily responding to emergency leaks or ceiling tiles, all that kind of different stuff that's kind of at this point right now part of the roof failures that are happening. Does that sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to stop here because this is the discovery side, right? When I get into the diagnosis part, I have to understand what's going on the roof. So from my side, I got a couple things, and I felt you gave me a couple things there to be able to be nice. But $5,000 to $7,000, right? So he's got to go through a budget. We know that he's got a boss. Let me just go through, I guess, the first side. So do they need to act? Do we know why he scheduled the call? Yes, he stepped inside the seat. You've been there for 3 months. You know they've tried to fix it on their own so far. It hasn't worked. Are the decision makers present, right? You joked about having to go to your boss and your boss's boss. I dropped the board, and you said, yeah, kind of like that, which I dove into a little bit later. Current reality, you guys have tried to solve it on your own. They haven't been successful in doing it. So you're looking for someone to be able to come out. You gave me an 8 out of 10. I asked for a 9 or 10. You said anything, only way it can go to a 9 or 10 is if it gets worse. We also talked about the weather being dry. So right now the problem is not active, but you being a little bit more of a proactive person, you do have the ability to see what the future is going to bring, especially when it starts raining or the rain does come in. Moving into, so checkpoint one, I'm sorry, I'm messing around. Checkpoint one, do they need to act? It's an 8. Everything else inside there says, yes, you did check that box for me. Checkbox number 2.
What I would have done there, Chad, is you had me there. It's always the probing, guys. Always, always, always. The more you can probe. If we started to get rain, if it stops being dry, we're not going to allow people to come into the office. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, tell me more about that.
You're right. I could have went deeper there because you said it, right?
That'll then get you to the cost of the problem.
Yeah. Yep. They don't come inside the office. If they're not coming into the office, what type of productivity is lost from not having anybody in the office or that part of the office?
Yep. And I would probably typically ask it like, so why does that matter with COVID? I mean, people work from home all the time now. Why don't you guys just regularly work from home? Now we found out that people aren't productive. They're not as productive. They're not doing their job. We end up getting behind in areas, Okay. And then I would try to get to the next layer if I can, right? Again, these are the soft skills that you guys need to try to continue to work on in terms of how you're asking this question in a way that makes sense to them. Right. But the key is that Chad got there. He got there. The thread was there. You just keep pulling on it and keep pulling on it until you can get to that area of substance. Right.
And the thing that's coming to mind on me is like, this is discovery, guys. It's supposed to be full of probing. It's supposed to be full of questions, right? This isn't selling where we're going inside there and trying to sell them something. We're trying to understand their world, right?
Yeah.
What happens if this leak, and we say it, right, as we go, what happens if this leak isn't fixed right the first time? What's the impact to that?
Right. That's right.
What if you make the wrong decision? All those kind of different things that are going to feed into this.
Yep.
David, I agree with you. I could have went deeper on that. You left it there. I did not tie in as deeply as I needed to. The other thing that I did, and I did go off script a little bit here, is I went back to decision makers.
Can I say one thing, Chad?
Yeah.
For all of you guys that have done Chasm on here, Chad's an advocate. His hardwiring naturally keeps him from wanting to go into those deep, dark places.
It's true.
Right? That's the thing, right? I will go there as a driver. But what I won't be able to do is I can't have the conversation. I'm not as good at having the emotional conversation that Chad can. So if I can get there, I will get there and I will dig. Chad's much better at getting there. His natural hardwiring will keep him from going there. So for you guys that are advocates or drivers, know that you're dealing with one issue or the other. So you have to be more intentional in that area. Does that make sense? So that's always a big thing there. It's always easy for drivers and advocates to critique one another because they're good at the opposite side of things. And if you haven't done Chasm, go do it. We'll drop a link in the chat to the assessment. Go do it and find out what your sales archetype is, so you can find out how your natural inclinations or your natural hardwiring is getting in the way of you being able to have these effective conversations and probe and dig deeper and get to the layer of information that you need.
Yep. All right. Awesome. So number two, align to the actual problems need to be solved. I could have went deeper here. I know that right off the bat, right? So the actual problems that need to be solved, right? We know it's the ceiling tiles. What happens, right? Ceiling tiles fall on desks, and going deeper into that. All right. So if those desks, so what we're doing is we're not solving the roof leaks. We're not solving the ceiling tiles that are wet. The larger issue that we're trying to get to is ultimately keeping people within the building, right? So we align to the actual problems that need to be solved. Right. And we're there. The other thing I'll mention real quick before we drop into the other three questions that we went through is what David and I are doing right now is what we call halftime, right? Where we go back in and I literally repeat back to someone. Now, David was the customer, right? But I literally go back and I talk to him. You need that person to be able to go through halftime and say, hey, I could have went a little bit deeper here. I need a little bit information here. This sale's not done. This is just the initial discovery call. So, hey, David, I was thinking about our conversation. I got a couple more questions for you.
Yep.
Right. And then I go deeper into this, right? And I can always go back. I can always drill deeper. I can always probe deeper. So that halftime is a beautiful thing to be able to have that accountability partner or the individual, right, that you can work with. All right. So we align to the actual problems need to be solved. I could have went deeper on there. Are the expected outcomes enough to be able to fund a solution? I could have went deeper there too, because that could have really tied in to, does he need, right? We already know he needs to act, right? But how do you come up with that? Now, David dropped the $5,000 to $7,000, right? I needed to drill a lot deeper to be able to say, hey, do you guys actually budget for things like this? Are you reactive, proactive, right? Those are things that I was asking to be able to get there in a nice way. Much like David said, right? I could have just went in for the kill and just said, how do you guys fund solutions like this? Do you guys have a budget for something like this? So went through that. And do they have internal resources to be able to solve this? Already set it up front, but I brought it back in here. You guys do have individuals that can go up there, but it hasn't worked for years. And we know that that's just no longer an option right now. Right. So I went back I confirmed that with him, even though he told me in the beginning. So David, I'll take your halftime report on my side here, sir.
Yeah, no, I think that the pain one, that was the main one to get into. And then if you would have got there, that would have brought you into the expected outcomes a little bit more.
Agreed.
Right. You reduce the number of days that people are working from home over the course of the year because of these unnecessary issues, blah, 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 blah. There's all that visibility. They all roll into one another. Just to give you guys an example, though, this is what Chad talks about, right? So if he's ever following up, let's say rain is going to come in. Now he has the ability to follow up with me and say, hey, any update on that repair? It's not that. There's follow-up of, hey, David, I see bad weather's coming in, and I know you guys want to avoid those ceiling tiles from falling on top of people or forcing them to have to work from home. Is there anything I can do to help you guys push this along so you can avoid that outcome that you did not want? There's a much more powerful email, guys. That is a much more powerful phone call and voicemail. That is a much more powerful form of outreach because you figured out what is impacting them. They don't care about the roof.
And that's absolutely beautiful because you said it right. That's when you're sitting on the same side of the table. That's when you're solving or preventing the same problem, right? Yeah. You're both seeing this the same way. It's not that we got, I'm going to wait for it to rain for all this water to come back in and now the pain's going to be horrible again. You want to be a trusted advisor, work proactively. What's going on? I see that we got rain coming in. I know that we got ceiling tiles that are ready to collapse. What's the plan? How can I help? Right? I'm sitting on the same side of the table as him. Part of the reason I wanted to do this and take a little bit of this time to do the role play, guys, is that you're constantly going to be learning. You're forever going to be learning, right? Like David said, I battle my own archetype right now on who I am as an advocate, and I continue to be able to do it. Now, do I constantly increase my sales conversion? Absolutely. And it's most of the time it's because I'm doing half times. I have accountability partners, right, that I'm going back into that are challenging me with this stuff that I know I need to go back in and do it. I can do it. I just naturally gravitate away from that. And that's who I am, right? I'm naturally a protector of my customer. I don't want them to know the worst possible outcome. But if that's you, if you guys are in that advocate side and you're protecting your customer from the worst possible outcome, they're not aware of the true risk of making the wrong decision. So there's a plus and side to each, there's a plus and minus to each type. There's no right or wrong, right? Good or bad. But that's just something that I recognize inside myself, and I'm continuing to be able to grow. So you guys have to be able to put yourself out there. You guys have to be able to do that, because if you think that you're going to show up inside your customer's office and wing this, it's not going to be pretty, right? There's no professional athlete, professional, whatever, that doesn't practice and just shows up and plays.
Yep.
You guys want to be professional at what you do, you have to practice.
Yep.
So last part to this, do we have the best solution? Right? We went through this, and this is part of what we're talking about. If you guys do not position yourself as the end all one option to be able to solve their problem, remember in the role play we just did, it's not roof deficiencies that we're solving, right? The problem that we're solving is people not being able to come into the office because their workspace is not safe because the ceiling tiles above them are either A, leaking water, or B, collapsing. That's the problem that we're solving. So you guys need to be able to position your company as an expert in solving their unique problem. Okay? Their unique problem. This is their world. This is their perception of reality. So do we have a proven history of solving the problems, right? This is what would come back when I got ready to present the proposal, right? Are we clear on how our solution uniquely solves their problem? And do delivery methods and milestones work for them? Which means even if they award the job today, it might be a week or 2 weeks before you guys get out there. You got to make sure that all of those expectations are set up front. If you buy it today and it rains tomorrow, right? You don't want them calling you, freaking out on you that they awarded it yesterday. Why haven't you guys been out here? I've been in that world way too many times. We got to make sure that we have all of those things outlined. So that's what's going to allow us to be able to get to that best solution. It's called the perfect buyer's journey. It's 3 checkpoints, guys. We went through this for several weeks, right? So checkpoint 1, do they need to act? Checkpoint 2, do they need new and outside help? Checkpoint 3, do we have the best solution? And we do all of that to be able to get to the 4th D, which is decision, right? The decision is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to make sure that the customer is going to make a decision, because that's the first step. If your customer is not going to make a decision to change their atmosphere, that means the proposal's never going to get awarded. And that either means that you guys are going to market dead on your own. Bravo, hats off to you guys if you can do that. But I can tell you 99% of sales reps that I see in book of businesses that I go into, they don't ever market dead. And it creates nothing but a clog of garbage in a book of business and hope. And neither one of those will get you a commission check. Neither one of those are going to help you be more efficient with your time. Number 2, so why your proposal sucks. Number 2, it doesn't cut through the noise, right? And we've talked a little bit about this, but you guys spend hours, your team and company spends hours of hard work to be able to create the proposal. And when you create the proposal, it probably looks something like this. Now, maybe you have images, maybe you have a photo of the front of the building or wherever it is, but ultimately you're trying to sell them roofing repairs, roofing deficiencies, right? For ultimately, which is an internal problem of stained ceiling tiles. It's an internal problem of people not being able to come into work. And that's, again, goes right back to that buyer-seller misalignment. If you guys are trying to sell roof repairs to your customers, they're going to have to work very, very hard internally in their head, burning calories to be able to guess which one is going to best get them to the solution that they envision, right? And their end goal, I promise you, is not a roof that has nice, beautiful patches with cut edge and cut edge sealants and all this kind of different stuff. That's not their reality, guys. Their reality is that it rains, those ceiling tiles will dry, and those people in the building are safe. And you guys have to work to be able to work through that, right? You guys have to be able to make sure it's easy and clear for your customer to make a decision, right? He can see the problem. He has an idea of the goal. The gap is obvious, right? And he's completely unaware of the pain when he makes the wrong decision, because he's going to make a decision based off of something within your proposal if you are not connecting those two. So this is the quote that I always put in here. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You can have whatever goals you want. You can tell me whatever goals. I don't care. Because if you guys do not have the systems right? If you guys do not have the systems in place, you are going to fall to the level of them, right? So you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It's from James Clear, the book I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is called Atomic Habits. This is huge. And this is not a company quote. Let me just be clear on that. This is not your $10 million company doesn't have the systems in place. This is you as a sales rep, an independent sales rep, right? And I say independent because I'm going to assume most of us don't have assistants or teams that work underneath us. You might have a team of sales reps that you work with, but each one of you guys are working on your own sales, which means you're only as good as your unique system, which means you guys have to be accountable to what you're doing day in and day out. You have to make sure that your priorities are in the right spot. And the systems that we are giving you are consistent, right? Which means you guys are going to be able to define the formula for success, which is something that very, very few sales reps can do, which means you guys are going to ask the same questions. You guys are going to probe for the same answers, and you guys are going to have a consistent way of delivering a solution to your customer. That's exactly what No Reps Left Behind does. It gives you all of the resource, tools, assets to do all of that stuff. So when you guys start delivering proposals, right, or delivering solutions, the first thing that you have to do is you have to have a way of recapping what happened. Because if you guys go and do a meeting and you do that meeting, let's just say at the beginning of November, it takes you a week to inspect it, a week to build the report, and a week to schedule it to go back there. We're sitting at the 28th of November, and I can't remember what I did last week, guys. Don't expect your customer to remember what he spoke about last month, right? Or 2 weeks ago, or wherever it is. That David said it best, right? Don't make them burn calories that they don't have to burn. Don't make them work harder than they have to work. Chances are they're not going to do it. So if you're making them work harder, they're going to assume, they're going to bypass. You're going to say, yeah, you remember the conversation we had last time? Very few people are going to be like, no, actually, I don't. Can you bring me back up to speed? It doesn't happen. They say, yeah. No, I'm good. Go ahead. And that ultimately is your 2 degrees of separation, guys. We talked about that 2 degrees of separation, right? That's when you and the customer are ultimately, you start off at the same exact plane. When you work in there for that first meeting and you have that discovery meeting, you guys are completely aligned, or you should be completely aligned. That 2 degrees of separation is when the right questions are not asked or assumptions are made. That's what starts splitting you guys away from each other. And by the time you get to this point, you're going to give them a proposal for what you think they need, right? But they want. And it could be 2 completely different things. So one of the biggest things that we need to do is we need to have a way to be able to share, right, the conversations that happen. The other beautiful part about this is that when we show you the workspace here, is that you guys are also going to be able to share this with anyone, which means if your customer wants to take this and share it with somebody else, the story doesn't change. There's no missing parts to it. There's no first, second, or third person sharing the information with somebody else. Every one of the decision makers gets the same information. And I'll say that's probably the most powerful thing that I've taken away from something like this. Anything you want to add to this side, David?
Nope.
All right.
I mean, guys, just think about it. We're just trying to take all the complexity out of this stuff for you and your buyer. And when you guys create a superior buyer's journey, you're just going to convert more. They're going to be impressed by you. When you use this technology, when you have these summaries waiting for them, you're just going to be so different. It can't hurt you guys. It's only going to help you. And we promise you, it's going to help you dramatically. You'll figure that out on the other side of it. But just be different in a good way, right? Or just be different for different sake.
I say be better. I say be better. It's not be different, right? Being better is being able to make sure your client's exactly aligned to where it is, right? Yep. We ask those 1 through 10 questions, not because they're weird and awkward. And I say weird and awkward, right? Because it's only awkward if you make it awkward. But they're guided decision measures, right? We've talked about you guys not having a good ability, right? That's not a lie. We're not making that up. We're not trying to downplay it. We're being honest. Your guys have tried to fix it for the last 3 years and they failed. So the ability for you guys to be able to do this yourself is low. Yeah, right? The priority level's an 8. You said the only way that priority level can go up is if the leak gets worse. And that's the last thing that either one of us wants. So it seems like the priority level's high, the ability level's low. We went through that. This is helping them be able to get alignment on where we're going. And the last thing that I'll say why your proposal sucks, and this is number 3, is your solution presentation is inconsistent. And inconsistency is going to get you 0 success. And I say that because if you walk into every single meeting not knowing what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, who you're presenting, all of those different variables, there's no way that you guys can duplicate the success over and over. What you guys need, and the measure of success, right? Success is defined by consistency, knowing what you need to do in order for you guys to be consistent, in order for you guys to be successful. So what I'm jumping through is a workspace. And this is a workspace that you guys can absolutely create for every one of your customers. If you don't have access to this, I'll tell you in a second how you guys can get access to it. It's 100% free. You guys have access, guy. Get you a login. You guys can ask the questions. You can tag the information in here, and you can start sharing this portal right here, right? This online workspace with your customers in the same way that you see right here. We call it the problem canvas. So the problem canvas ultimately summarizes all of the questions that we just asked. Now, this is a different one, obviously, than David and I just created. But what's the objective? Who's responsible for it? What's the current reality of what's going on right now? Who has the authority, right? What's the pain? What's the cause? All of the questions that we ask within all of the stuff that we've given you within that perfect buyer's journey, it's all sits right here. And when you can ask those questions consistently, you can summarize those questions consistently. That is how you get that absolute alignment between you and your customers. There's no more guessing. There's no more assuming. If something's not right, I can tell you every time it wasn't right on my side, the customer called it out and said, yeah, that's not exactly right. That's not what I said. I said, all right, cool. What's the difference? What did I misunderstand? Because I can tell you that the same person can say the same thing to 3 different people and it can be interpreted different. This is where you get that complete alignment. Now, notice I have not delivered my proposal yet. I'm still getting alignment. The other thing that can happen is that when you spoke to them at the beginning of November, they spoke to 2 other contractors that gave them 2 completely different options, and their perception of what they wanted changed. Yep. That's happened a lot too. To where I go inside there, he tells me he wants a brand new roof. And the guy come back 1 month later, he goes, well, you know what? There's a company that does spray foam that came here and they said that they can do this and this and this. Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to be able to do is deliver a brand new TPO full tear off if he has someone else that's doing some type of foam coating over top of the existing. Those are 2 completely different solutions. And anybody here knows that. Right. And I've been in that situation, right? Extreme, but I've been in a situation where they're starting to do liquid membranes, or, you know what, I want to go with PVC instead of TPO. The only thing that stuff does is get you further away from what your customer actually wants. So this allows you to be able to realign yourself. It allows you to be able to be in complete alignment with the customer specifically on why he's engaging you. It's not to be able to choose what manufacturer of TPO he wants. Trust me, that is not what he's doing here. This customer is here to be able to solve a very unique situation to him. And he's got $250,000 to be able to do it. I'm just using an example as far as dollars, right? But his job is to be able to use that money as efficiently as possible, right? Go right back to the buyer's intent to be able to solve a problem causing him enough pain that's keeping him from, his desired outcomes. That's what this is about. So once you have the ability to be able to recap this with him, everything becomes a lot more valuable. It allows you guys to be able to put your own videos in, right? So if you guys want to put your own video in, whether you have a commercial or you just want to make something that's very unique to the customers, you guys can do that. And there's been some awesome thing that's been done with this. So if you want to position yourself again, I'm going to show you here as a leak expert. You can have a video, right? Specifically on how you guys solve leaks. Now, this one was specific to leaks, right? This was a COVID hospital that was in COVID for 2 years. They didn't do anything because of the COVID precautions. Roof was in horrible shape, right? So now I can talk about that. I can actually put something there that makes me a person. The real amazing part to this is what we call the solution roadmap. This is where consistency comes in. Consistency is about asking the same, or I won't say asking, right? It's about saying the same thing over and over again, knowing that you're going to get a consistent outcome. Now, as a sales rep, right? It's one thing to be able to say, you know what, I have a presentation, it works great. That's fabulous. As a leader, it is scary. And I've sat in this position many times, knowing that every one of your sales reps has a different presentation because every one of your sales reps is going to have a different outcome. That is the definition of insanity, right? So guys, what I want to talk you through is a presentation. Now, this is made specifically for this workspace, but this can be extremely unique, and this should be extremely unique to your company, your secret sauce. What is it that makes you guys great, right? I'm going to run through this, and I'm going to make it as easy as I can make it. We promise to fix the leaks so you guys can focus on what matters. We exist for three primary reasons. Number one, too many facility managers tolerate roof leaks. Construction is known as one of the worst when it comes to customer experience, which I'm sure you can agree with. And the roof is one of the most primary assets for security. That is why we're in business. That's why we work. Now, people who work with us see success pretty similar. Number one is that there's fewer leaks and fewer disruptions inside the business. When we're up there on the roof, we put together budgets that are real. They actually work because we know what things are costing because we're actually doing the work. And then finally, we deliver peace of mind through control of the budget. Because as you guys are making the repairs, your budget in real time adjusts. So it allows you to be able to see truly what's left to be able to spend on the building and what repairs are left to do to be able to keep that building dry. Specifically with you, David, make sure those ceiling tiles aren't getting worse over anybody else. Now, we have a proven track record of success. So first off, we've stopped over 1,800 leaks in 2021. But I'll tell you the most impressive part of this is 99.56. That's a real number, David, of the leaks were fixed the first time. So it's not just that we responded to 800 leaks. We almost fixed 100% of those leaks the first time and within 72 hours. I'll say the icing on top is that we are a top 100 contractor inside the United States. So we're nationally recognized for this. This is how we keep a proven track record of success and how we know the leaks that you have are going to be taken care of. And with a 99.5% fixed the first time, we know we're going to take care of them. Now, our methodology is pretty simple.
Guys, let me just say this real quick, Chad, as you say that. Remember, guys, they don't want a roofer. They want somebody that's fixed a lot of leaks. They want someone that's fixed them correctly the first time. They want someone that does it in a timely manner. That's what they want. But we are hiding these stats and this proof of our track record and our ability to be able to solve the things that they actually care about behind this wall that they'll never see. We need to start presenting this stuff to them. This is what they care about. This is what they want to see.
The one thing, and I 100% agree with you, the one thing I'm going to add, I'm going to piggyback off of that, is that you cannot present this until you understand what their problem is. And more importantly, they understand what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go in and just all of a sudden pitch this as your sales presentation. This is not a sales presentation. This is a solution. And in order for you guys to be able to have that perfect execution, you have to have a solution for each problem that you solve, which means if it's roof leaks, right? If it's roof restoration, if it's brigging, whatever it is that you guys do, right? Again, let's talk about your special sauce. What is it? Have consistency, but you cannot present something like this until your customer and you are exactly aligned to what the real problems are. What's the pain? What's the return on investment, right? What's the objective? I can't tell you what I can do for you until I know what your goal is. Because if the goal is to be able to stop the leaks for the next 90 days so you can sell the building, is completely different than I just moved in and we're going to be here for 20 years and I need a long-term plan. You have to understand what the objective is and every other question there before you can get to the point of delivering a solution like this. So you guys got the idea, right? We're keeping it inside of your methodology, fix it fast, fix it right, fix it for life. And then we explain each one of those, right? How do we fix it fast? 24/7, day and night, cruise throughout the Metroplex, fully equipped trucks. We're justifying, showing, and proving that we are leak experts. Earlier inside the series, we've talked about, David talked about like courting, right? Doctors versus dating, right? This is where you're a doctor. This is where you are an expert inside what you do because you do it 20 times a week. And that's how you bring confidence, is with these proven methods, right? Within this proven secret sauce that you guys have to get to a point to be able to say, in summary, we see past the leak. We understand the disruptions. We're best in class. We're certified, which means we exceed the industry standards. and we only have a 0.05% of leaks that return. That's how we guarantee what's going on with you guys. That's how we guarantee the success. So I really got 3 questions for you. Number 1, are we still aligned to the actual problems that are causing the current or avoidable pain? And are you guys clear on how we solve those? The answer is no, that's okay. If it is, click yes. If it's no, go back up. We're not done. Something's not clear. Do not deliver the proposal. Do not pass go. Question number 2, are we still aligned to the expected outcomes if problems were to be solved? We talked about the ROI, the return on investment. Same thing. If the answer is yes, click the checkbox. If no, that's okay. Go back to the ROI. Go back to return on investment. The one thing I say on each one of these guys, the ROI, return on investment, is not only the cost of the proposal. What's the cost of the ceiling tile? What's the cost if it hits somebody? What's the cost if those people don't come in the building? Specifically with the example that we did today, those are all accounted into the ROI. Question number 3, are we the right solution to solve the current problems and create the desired outcomes? Right? So I'm saying, have I done all of my job to prove that I am an expert inside solving this issue? If not, let's go back to the drawing board and figure out why, because there's some type of misalignment. If you guys can get these 3 boxes checked and you can have confidence from your customers that you both are aligned to the actual problems, you both are aligned to the outcomes, and they truly believe that you're the right solution to solve the current problems, you shouldn't have to ask for the sale. You shouldn't have to go back and check on the proposal because you've done your job showing, demonstrating why you guys are the best possible way, best possible option, solution to be able to get them from where they are right now to where they want to be. David, anything you want to add to this, sir?
Last thing I'll say on this one specifically, guys, and I know we're at time, but are we the right solution to solve your problem? Sometimes you're going to get this thing of, well, I mean, it just depends on the price. Okay. We're going to get into that. I'll show you, but do you feel like we're the right ones to fix your issue if the price is where it needs to be? Because the price doesn't matter if we're not the right company. You get to double down on the fact that you're not a commodity salesperson. You're not just slinging quotes out there. You're a company that's there to solve their problems. Then you'll get a yes from them. Yeah, all this looks great. Yeah, the price is in line. We're ready. Okay, great. And you should have done the work around the budget to know if you're in line or not, but you know now you're going into the proposal whether or not they're aligned to what it is that you guys have. So we drive them to that decision for a reason. Based on that answer, you'll be able to, they are usually going to give you a yes, but. Well, great. If it's a yes, but what? Okay, we'll talk about that. But if that is in line, everything else is a yes. Okay, good. And we're guiding them towards that decision, guided decision-making, guide them towards yeses on each one of these questions. I have to take action. I need outside help. And you guys are the best ones to help me.
There you go. Awesome, awesome. David, thank you very much. Everybody that's on, you guys are awesome. You rock. If you guys need anything from me, my challenge to you guys is the same that I said inside the beginning right now. You guys have proposals sitting in your book of businesses right now. My question to you is what problem, okay, what perception, what problem does your customer have that your proposal solves? And if you guys can figure that out, that's the first step to taking that choice or taking that, I'll say, journey into that trusted advisor. So, you guys rock. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the week.
Thanks.
If you guys need me or David, you know how to get in touch.
Rock it this week. Get better. A little bit every week.
See you guys.